shadows fall, I'll be beside you whenever you call. When worries weigh heavy and fears take flight, I'll be your strength, guiding through the night. And when the days are dark and heavy on your heart, I'll be the voice to guide you through the dim. Strong walls may crumble, but within you've got the spark. Just turn the key, let light dissolve the grim. Did you think you were alone in your feelings? Strike a match, let your inner strength be seen. Welcome to all things serious. In the depths of your despair, where demons roam, I'll be the hand to hold. You're never alone. When storms rage fierce and winds blow strong, I'll be the shelter in your soul where you belong. Welcome to all things serious.
What is going on, everybody? How we all doing tonight, this evening, this morning, depending on where you're at? How you doing? So,
I'm doing well. How are you?
So tonight's live, as you well can see, is about trauma and addiction and their correlation. So, which is an important topic because it actually relates to me. KB, how you doing? And I'm pretty sure Aaron, if you're here, how you doing? So I want to get this started. And Meg, if you see any questions in chat, you can, tell me to stop reading.
You got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to switch over to the other screen so I can just read. So, trauma and so we're going to get to what is stress, what is trauma, the trauma affects a person's brain and body, and then we're going to get into the correlation, the connection with substance use. So we're gonna start with what is stress, what is trauma. Stress is an emotional and physical reaction to a challenge or demand, such as school demands, financial problems, or having an illness. A stressor may be a one-time or short-term occurrence, or it can happen repeatedly over a long time. When a person is under stress, the body reacts to releasing hormones that produce the flight or fight response. Heart rate, breathing rate, and blood pressure go up. Occasional stress is a normal coping mechanism. However, long-term stress, also called chronic stress, may contribute to or worsen a range of health problems, including digestive disorders, headaches, sleep disorders, and other symptoms. Now, trauma. Trauma refers to a persistent emotional response to an event, series of events, or circumstances that an individual experiences as harmful or threatening. It can result in heightened stress or lasting adverse impacts on a person's functioning and well-being. A traumatic event is a shocking, scary, or dangerous experience. Experiences like natural disasters, such as hurricanes, earthquakes, and floods. Acts of violence, such as assault, abuse, terrorist attacks, and mass shootings. as well as car crashes and other accidents, can be traumatic. Traumatic circumstances can include neglect, loss of a parent or a companion, family conflict, racism, and discrimination. In some cases, emotional responses to traumatic events or circumstances continue for a long period of time and interfere with everyday life, a condition known as PTSD. Stress and trauma may contribute to mental health disorders such as depression and anxiety, and to substance use in its progression to substance use disorders. How does trauma affect a person's brain and body? A person's experience over a lifetime are a factor in their brain structure and function. Experiencing abuse or neglect, separation from, or loss of a parent or companion, being a victim of violence, bullying, going to war, experiencing racism or discrimination, among other events and circumstances, can cause changes in the brain that make a person more sensitive to future events, even daily life stress. As a result, a trauma survivor may be more sensitive to and less able to cope with stress in everyday life. Most people will recover from these symptoms, and their reactions will lessen over time. In some cases, these responses continue for a longer period of time and interfere with everyday life, a condition known as PTSD. What is the connection between trauma, stress, and substance use? So, studies show traumatic, extremely stressful experiences like abuse, violence, neglect, or the death of a loved one can make a person more vulnerable to developing a substance use disorder. Someone who has been through trauma or has experienced chronic stress may use substances like, you know, drugs and alcohol as a form of self-medication. They may use substances to temporarily cope with the distress they feel or the symptoms of related mental illnesses like PTSD. Traumatic stress can also cause changes in a person's brain function and their behavior, making it more likely that the substance use will lead to an addiction. This is particularly true in early life. Research shows that experiencing adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, like violence, abuse, neglect, or other early life stressors, and associated with a greater likelihood of developing substance use disorders later in life. Severe or chronic stress can also affect brain circuits that are involved in reward, motivation, and learning. Stress can also increase someone's craving and decrease their ability to control how they respond to impulses. Addiction affects these same brain processes, which is another reason why researchers think stress increases vulnerability to addiction or relapse, which is when someone who has been abstinent starts to use substances again. Research also shows that having addiction makes stress symptoms worse. Now, does trauma always lead to developing substance use disorder? Not everyone who experiences trauma will develop an addiction. Genetics, environment, family history of addiction, severity of trauma, childhood adversity, and history of past drug use are all factors contributing to a person's risk of developing a substance use disorder. Protective factors such as individual traits like optimism and environmental influences like healthy family and peer relationships, as well as targeted prevention interventions, can reduce the risk of developing a substance use disorder. How is trauma linked to PTSD and other mental illnesses? About 8% of people who have experienced trauma go on to develop PTSD in the course of their lifetime. A person with PTSD has repeated disturbing thoughts and flashbacks of a dangerous, shocking, or scary event. They may often feel afraid, anxious, angry, or ashamed. Research shows that there is a big overlap between people who have PTSD and those who develop substance use disorders. And many people are diagnosed with both at some point. People with both disorders have more chronic physical health problems, more social problems, and increased risk of violence or unaliving themselves. A person may also develop other mental health disorders like depression or anxiety after experiencing trauma. These problems are also associated with addiction. In fact, per analysis of National Survey published in 2017, 3.3% of the U.S. population, or 7.7 million adults, had a co-occurring disorders during 12 months before the survey interview. What is the relationship between trauma and substance use disorders? In one survey of more than 600 people with substance use disorder, almost half reported suffering physical or sexual abuse, with women reporting much higher rates of both. Such abuse presents even greater potential harm for children. People with a history of childhood physical and sexual abuse have respectively 74% and 73% greater risk of developing a substance use disorder in their lifetime than other people. Violence. People who are a victim of or witness violence have an increased risk of substance use and misuse. Exposure to interpersonal or intimate partner violence is associated with a risk of substance use and a progression to substance use disorder, particularly for women. Military life is also linked with substance use problems. Though military personnel who have had multiple deployments, combat exposure, and combat-related injuries are at a greater risk of developing an addiction. Further, many studies show an increase in alcohol and drug use or smoking following acts of terrorism. Family conflict. Parental divorce and conflict, loss of a parent, or poor family relationships contribute to severe and chronic stress that can increase to someone's vulnerability to addiction. Racism is systematic discrimination. Experiencing prejudice and stigma can also cause chronic stress. raising the risk of substance use and misuse. Well, racism and systemic, discrimination. Research suggests that people who feel discriminated against also have a higher risk of substance misuse. Physical injury. A serious head injury, particularly in children and adolescents, is associated with a higher risk of addiction. Researchers suspect that severe injury may disrupt parts of the brain involved with making decisions and controlling impulses. Are there treatments for people with substance use disorders who have another mental health disorder? When someone has a substance use disorder and another mental health disorder, it is usually better to treat them at the same time rather than separately. Some research suggests that this can increase treatment effectiveness for both disorders. For example, in one NIDA-funded study, people who received a treatment called prolonged exposure therapy for PTSD, along with treatment for substance use disorder, had more improvement in PTSD symptoms than people who received treatment for addiction alone. As a best practice, health providers should screen for past trauma when providing care for substance use disorders, given the high risk of people who experience both. Flower Nana 7, how you doing? Manda Panda, how you doing? DC, how you doing? Rosaline, how you doing? Shoemaker, how you doing? So, I myself, being a survivor of physical and sexual abuse as a child, peer pressure was easy. And alcohol was my go-to substance. And at first, drinking was social. And then it became an addiction. So it just led from one thing to another. You know, I started drinking because of the peers around me. And then I continued drinking later on in life when nobody was around me as a coping mechanism
That's
or
usually how it starts.
as a band-aid for a bigger issue.
Yeah.
You know,
That's usually how it starts.
yep. When I sobered up in the hospital and I was seeing a psychologist and a psychiatrist, I was seeing everybody. So, to getting the help I needed.
It's good.
But one
Some
thing
people
I
are just too stubborn. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. One thing I learned early on, you have to not associate with people in your circle. Okay? You have to change. You have to change your environment, which is the hardest thing in the world because you feel safe with those people. They know you. You know, so just remember, you're not alone through these struggles. People have gone through them.
Yeah. Yeah, and switching up your lifestyle is truly the hardest. I mean, I left my hometown and moved to a whole new state. That really helped a lot.
Yep. So, and if you want to know where I go to get a lot of my information, is I went to a site called National Institute on Drug Abuse. NIDA.
.gov.
So,
yeah, it's good information, but also just reaching out and talking to other people that are in similar positions really helps. First, make you feel like you're not alone, but second, get some other, insights on different perspectives and what's helped for other people. And because not one thing will help. It's not a cookie cutter situation. Everybody has different coping mechanisms, different learning methods. Nothing is ever straight cut.
yes, I have hypothyroidism. I have an underactive thyroid. I have on the 20th, which is another thing that can lead to things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that are not happy with themselves, turn to substances, alcohol, or other things.
Yeah. Yeah, see exactly what Divergent said. I'm the same way. I do not have an addictive personality.
You go into a rehab, okay? If you have an opioid problem, okay, they tell you not to drink alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you have an opioid problem, and I learned this, I was taught this, they tell you not to drink because you will go back to what you used to do. It'll lead you back to what you used to do.
Yeah.
What's going on, Dino? How you doing? So I learned that through therapy. Okay. So I've gone to NA meetings and I've gone to AA meetings.
Yeah. And what Divergent's saying, I completely agree with. I totally can get behind that because alcohol was my weakness. I never had an issue with anything else. So, but it's still gnarly, still pretty bad and life changing, and just all the other indicators of addiction like shame and isolation, all that, closet drinking.
So I will tell you this, okay, right? So with me, it was the feeling of I drank to sleep. I didn't drink to feel high. I didn't drink to feel happy. Even though when I drank, I was happy. I was a happy drunk.
Me too.
I drank to sleep. So I didn't, I wasn't. I embarrassed myself a lot. I'll tell you that when I drank. I embarrassed myself a lot. Hey, Jot, how you doing?
Good to see you, Jot.
Hope you're doing well. I tell people, When I used to go to AA meetings, I would notice people that would still hang out with people that drank. So, and I said to him, I said, aren't you the least bit concerned that you're going to relapse? And they're like, no. I said, but you will. You will. And they're like, how do you know? Because I have. I've been around people drinking, in the beginning, at the very beginning of my sobriety, where I relapsed and I needed help. But, this was years ago. I relapsed big time 7 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, and I ended back in the hospital because I knew that
Sorry.
it's all right. I knew that if I didn't go to the hospital and get help, I would have either unalived someone or unalived myself. So, because I was drinking, but I was drinking and driving.
Me too.
Okay. So that's the reason why I admitted myself into the hospital. I needed help. You got to know when you need help, and don't be afraid to reach for it. So now, like as of recently, past 3 or 4 years, I was a bouncer at a nightclub, so I could be around it and be fine. So, without temptation. So there, once you get to a point in life, you with willpower, you'll be able to put yourself into situations where you'd be like, I'm good. But if you get tempted, you leave. You leave the situation. You go away.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're going to fall into it again. I yes, I'm going to call you tomorrow, KB. Tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to call you tomorrow. I have to go out and take care of a few things tomorrow, so I'll be able to call you while I'm driving.
Eddie, before I have to go, one thing I was going to say, piggyback off what you were just saying, is if a relapse does happen, don't go in the shame spiral and just think, well, I'm already there, I'm just going to go full board. Reach out to somebody you trust and talk to them. You don't have to do it online on a computer, like where everyone can see you. It could be just private, and just share what you're going through. 1.5 age, I can't believe it's been that long.
1.5 years old.
Oh my gosh. All right.
So
My therapy starts right now, but it's usually like 4 or 5 minutes late, so I'm gonna hang until they all jump on.
Okay. Thank you
But
for being here, Megan.
But I'll wave before I go.
So I was talking that before I continue on, I was talking to Megan about, needing a co-host. So she seems pretty interested. She's going to have to not disappear quite frequently.
That's kind of, how often are these streams?
You don't have to be there every night. Like 3 nights a week.
Probably manage that.
If it's something, if it's a subject that you are interested in doing. So
definitely. I mean,
Ajot said she's a great co-host.
Thank you, Ajot. Now, I think mental health is so important, and I don't think I think everybody can benefit from therapy or any sort of just acknowledgement of mental health. I grew up in an era where mental health was taboo. You were crazy if you went to a therapist,
Yep.
like that wasn't allowed back in the 90s. People were like, you go to therapy? What's wrong with you? It's like, I just want to pay someone to listen to me and bounce ideas off of, like someone that's not in my circle.
What gets me, right? What gets me, okay, is, in the older generation, there used to be a saying, kids are to be seen and not heard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the next generation after that, when you go up to them and you tell somebody you're depressed, in certain cultures, they're like, what do you got to be depressed about? You ain't got to pay bills. You ain't got rent to pay. You ain't got to worry about this. What do you got to be depressed about? You don't know what's going on in their life. If they're coming to you because they're depressed, is that something's happened to them. They've seen something. They've been through something. They're experiencing something, and they're trying to reach out and talk. And what happens is when you neglect somebody like that, it gets worse. And they tend to act out in a bad way.
Mm-hmm. And it tends to prevent them from reaching out in the future to other people, even not even just to you, or to the person that rejected them, to other people. The worst thing you can do is shame them for wanting to talk. I've seen people do that. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, you're the worst friend ever. Yeah. I get divergent. You and I, we fall in a lot of the same places. Black skies. I'm one of those people that I'm terrible at responding back. But if you're like in my group of friends and you call me 3 times in a row, I know it's an emergency and I'll pick up if I'm awake. I mean, sometimes I'm not available at all. So, but yeah, I'm terrible at communicating. I think it's from having jobs on the phone all the time. So don't get, I mean, I could see why giving up on those people. Sometimes all it takes is me finally answering the phone and being like, damn, I don't know why I don't talk to this person more often. I love our conversations. You out, Manda?
You take care, Amanda. I'll talk to you later. Emily Pickles.
That's a great name.
Yep. So, I got some things happening in life. Once they're cleared up, I'm going to be disappearing for a week. So I want to share with the community what's going on. And most of you guys know that I've been slacking, going live, and being full of energy and enthusiasm talking to you guys. Okay. And so after the 20th, I am going to be going into the psych hospital for a week after the 20th. So I can get back to get everything back, my medication, get back into therapy, get into seeing a psychiatrist and a psychologist, getting back on path.
You got my support.
So I've been going through a lot. And I just wanted to share with you guys what's going on. So if I'm not live for an entire week, you know why. So I have people's numbers. So if you're in Discord, I'll be able to relay messages and they'll be able to update the community. So you know, I'm in between a rock and a hard place.
If I can just cut in here, it's really cool that you're able to recognize that and do what you need to do to get back on the right path. I mean, I know too many people that would never acknowledge that, and they find it weak. And I don't think it's weak at all. I think it's incredibly self-aware and courageous, honestly.
So there are people that I'm going to reach out to, you know, and get their personal number so I can reach out to them and let them know where I'm at so they can stay in contact with me. So, and it ain't the first time I've been there. It ain't the second time. It'll be the third time. So
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I mean,
you know,
we all need a tune-up once in a while.
It's just that I got to get my mind in check. And it's not in check right now. So if you want to reach out to me, my email's in the description. Black Skies, I apologize if you're still here and listening. I apologize for not reaching back out to you. I've just been in a dark place lately. You know, I've been putting a mask on, trying to cover it and act like nothing is wrong. And it's not true. You know, I need help and I know I need it and I'm going to get it. And that's what I talk about on this channel is don't be afraid to reach out for help. There's no shame in it. You know, there's no shame in it. You know, yes, I'm an advocate for mental health. It's very important that we put our own mind first and we take care of our mind. A healthy mind means a healthy body. And if you don't have a healthy mind, you're not going to have a healthy body. I don't have a healthy mind right now. What's going on, Crystal Phoenix Rising? How are you doing? Or how you doing? So, I'll be live until then. So, I know what I do is a touchy subject, mental health. And people don't like hearing it sometimes. So you're a mental health coach and author? I'd love to do a collab with you, Crystal. I'd like to talk to you behind the scenes first to get to know a little bit more about you and what you've written, and then maybe have you come up on panel and talk, have a conversation, dialogue, talk about the books you've written, promote them. Give me just a second. Let me go over. So,
Hey, Vibrin.
Vibrant, how you doing?
Long time no see. Mm-hmm.
Let me go to channel. Okay.
Hi. This one's my noisy cat.
So I am looking at. I just typed in. Just punched in your website. So I'll be checking out your website. I found your channel. I subscribed. Okay. But I'm just going through it, and I just needed to share with you guys. So that's cool, Megan.
Oh, did I turn into a weird thing again? Yeah. Yes, very true, Emily. I feel like
Yes,
I'm from the
I know
Power
what you're going.
Rangers.
I know what you're going through, Vibrant. So, but everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I'm actually gonna tomorrow's live. Tomorrow's live. I think I'm gonna cover my my story again. I'm going to share my story again. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to August of 2023. I I did a video called My Story. It's time to refreshen it. You know, because there's some things in the first video I did, My Story, that I did not talk about. And I'm going to talk about it. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about it. I haven't really talked about it much because it's real triggering. It's something that I shouldn't have ever had to witness in my life. But I did. You know. So, when you hear these stories of I'll talk about it tomorrow. I will. I'm not going to mention it right now because, yeah, I'm having flashbacks. Ooh. That's another reason why I need to get back into the hospital. So, okay.
Did I lose you there? Sorry.
No, you didn't lose me.
Oh,
Kevin
maybe I
K, how you
glitched.
doing? So, I will see you guys tomorrow. Probably 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to go live and do my story. So,
I think I have an appointment, but let me double check.
it's going to be an emotional one, but I'm going to share it.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yep.
Excuse me.
So, thank you everyone for being here. I love you guys. Remember to stay strong. Stay strong. You're not alone in this fight. You're not alone in the battle. So,
And don't be scared to reach out.
yep.
Always somebody who
I'm going
cares.
to try to. Yes. Yes. So, KB, if you're still listening, I will be giving you a call tomorrow afternoon. So, hey, Jot, thank you for being here. Everybody that you're still here, if you're still here, thank you. But love you guys. With that being said, all
Looks like
things
my therapy was
serious.
canceled.
Oh, it was?
I mean, yeah, looks like it. So I got to stay the whole
That
time.
sucks.
I'm glad.
That sucks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna email and be like, "What's going on?" But anyways, I'll let you do your exit.
Yeah, yeah. So this weekend will be a members only live. So, but no, I told you I'd call you tomorrow afternoon, KB. I still care about people in my community. Even though I'm going through things, I'm still there for everybody else. I'm not spread thin. With that being said, all things serious is out, my friends.
Let's talk about the mind for a minute. The kind of battles fought, you don't just win it. It's a war zone inside, no camouflage. Every thought's a grenade, sitting ready to barrage. Growing up, they said man up, but never speak up. So I bottled it all, like a shaking soda cup. Pressure building inside, I could feel it crack. But the world outside only sees the mask, not the fact. Depression knocking at the door, anxiety's my guest. They invited themselves in, now I'm under duress. But mental health ain't a weakness, it's the strength to own every scar, every tear, every struggle we've honed. It's okay not to be okay. Don't let anyone take your light away. In the darkness, you'll find your voice. Speak your truth, make your choice. It's okay not to be okay. Don't let anyone take your light away. In the darkness, you'll find your voice. Speak your truth, make your choice. Seamless like a shadow, it follows you around. But I'm breaking the silence, gonna tear it down. Got therapy sessions, journaling pages, finding peace in the chaos, flipping life stages. Self-love's a journey, not a destination. Gotta navigate the pitfalls, find your elevation. No shame in asking for help, we all need a hand. Together we rise like a hip-hop band. So let's rewrite the narrative, redefine the game. Mental health ain't just a buzzword, it's our flame. Illuminate the darkness, spark the conversation. All things serious and mental health, a powerful nation.